Now, we want to start drafting our underbust corset, but the first thing we need to do is that we need to trace this out on another piece of paper so that you don't have to be drafting this all the time. Now, if you don't have any problem drafting it all the time, you can go ahead, but I prefer to trace out and then work with the trace copy and have this so I can make multiple corsets at once. It reduces the time that I would have spent drafting a new one over again. So you're going to need your tracing wheel and you just trace it out. So make sure your paper is flat and you would trace this out. I'm going ahead to trace the pattern and I have traced out the important parts. So you need to trace out the neck, the shoulder, the armhole, the back line, the armhole line, the waistline, the hip line, the shoulder dart in the front, the shoulder line, armhole, chest line, the neck, the center front, and the side seam. So now that we have everything here, it's time to start placing some measurements. So I didn't do this initially, but now it's time to start placing it. So I need to measure my shoulder to bust. My shoulder to bust is 26, which is here. Now if you find out that by the time you measure your bust line is above this armhole line, you need to do an alteration, which I share in my basic class. So as I was saying, you need to do an alteration, and the alteration is very simple. You just need to either reduce from here or open up, so based on whatever you're working with, and it's called small bust adjustment. So the next line, so this is going to be your TBL, which means your true bust line. From here I'm going to mark my underbust line, shoulder to underbust, which is 32 here. Then I need to measure my abdomen line. Now abdomen is in between the waist to hip, so you just find half of that line. After drawing those lines, we now need to decide on which type of corset we're going to be making. So we're going to start with this type of corset that is sort of straight at the upper part. So it has this slight curve to it, and I'll demonstrate how it works. So the underbust corset usually starts at the underbust line, so you don't even need the bust line for anything. You just need the underbust line. So the reason I'm working with this is because it starts from here and it ends around the abdomen. So based on the corset length that we have, that's what we're going to work with. So my corset length is 56 centimeters. So it's stopping at the abdomen line. That's the highest, the lowest it can be at the sides. So you can always curve it in the front. Okay. So now the first thing I want to do is to remove ease on this pattern. So I'm going to measure my underbust line first of all. So from the center front, I measure this to the side seam here. Then I skip the space in between here and I start from the side seam to the end. So I have 54. So I'm just going to write it there. So I have 54. So my underbust is 82.5. So if I divide this by 2, remember this is half of your pattern. If I divide this by 2, I'm going to have 41.3. So this is the reduction. So underbust 54 minus 41.3 is going to give 12.7. So we need to remove 12.7 all around here. Now before we even start, we need to remove the excess in the center front. So if you remember when I was doing the hip, we added 3 centimeters, but when we were drawing this, the middle line, we sort of divided that is 1.5 here and 1.5 here. So we need to remove that is at least one from the center front and another one in between. So I usually take 1 centimeter in the front and then the remaining 0.5 somewhere else. So at the under bust, I'm going to measure 1 centimeter. So this is a standard, and 1 centimeter here as well. So we're removing the excess that is on the under bust. So by taking that 1 centimeter, I've reduced this to 11.5 because this will now be 53 if we measure that. So I'm going to just mark it like this, meaning it's going to be cut out. So this is now going to be your new center front line. Okay, so we're going to go to the waist. So we first calculate how much we need to remove first before we continue. So we go to the waist. You're starting from the new CF line to 27, skip. So I have 52.8. So if you want to snatch your waist using your underbust corset, because of the lacing, you can remove about 5 centimeters from your waist measurements. So 77 minus, now if you're going to remove that amount, you cannot put a zipper at the back. You need a lacing. If you're going to put a zipper, you can reduce it by about 2 to 3 centimeters at most. And even at that, you need to make sure that you're using a very strong zipper that will not break. So if I'm removing 5 centimeters from this, I'm going to have 72. And 72 divided by 2 will give me 36. So my waist, I'm going to have 16.8 excess. Okay. So now I'm going to actually start with my waist now before I move to the abdomen. How many channels are for this particular corset? So I can see 1, 2. So the best way to know it is you divide the corset into 2 like this with your imaginary eyes. And remember, this is the center front, so that line represents the center front, and whatever we are drafting is going to be half of the corset. So center front is always on fold, and so if you have the same thing here and here, you will just draft half. If you have a different thing on both sides, like an asymmetric corset, you need to draft the full pattern, meaning your paper is going to be lower than this. You have 2 of this and you have 2 of this front. Okay, so I can see 1, 2, and then my side seam. See, my side seam is curved, it's not straight like this, so I need to be able to make that. So I'm going to have 2 lines. I'm going to have 2 lines, so that will form my corset, and I'm going to tighten it at the side as well. So I'm going to tighten it in 1, 2, and the side seam. If that makes sense. So the back, I don't have an image for the back, so I can decide to do the same thing. 1, 2, side seam. Okay, so I'm just going to place my table here and divide this into 3. And divide this into 3. So 27 divided by 3 will give me 9. So 9.1. So 9.1. I'm going to mark 9.1 and 18.2. So the reason I said divide into 3 is to get 2 lines, you're going to have 3 panels. 1, 2, 3. Hope that's clear. So I've divided that, and we are working with a curved shape, so it's not straight. You can see if we're working with this now, all we have to do is draw a straight line like this. But because we are not working with that type of shape, we're working with a curved shape, this is going to slant towards the side this way. So following the shape of the side seam, and this is going to slant to the side as well. Okay, so follow the same direction for this one as well. Okay, so the same thing for the back. At the waist, you divide it into 3, 25 by 3. So at this point, you need to determine whether you want a zipper. If you want a zipper, you're going to need a slanted center back seam. But because for an underbust corset, usually it is laced. It's usually laced. I'm just going to have a modesty panel at the back. So we usually cut away a part of the back so that we can tighten it better. So at the waist, I'm just going to remove about 3 centimeters at the waist, and at the underbust, let's remove about 4.5. So we have a nice shape there. So I'm going to draw this all the way down like this. So this is, you can decide to keep this as your modesty panel. So I can write unfold. So I'll show you how to do that, or you can just discard it altogether and cut it away. So now the reason I did this is because if you are working with a panel that is this part of the lace, that corset that is open, then you need to do this before you measure your panels. But if you are working with a zipper, you will draw your center back seam before that. So here, 22 divided by 3 will give me about 7 points. So I have 1, 2, 3 panels. So let's say I want to do the same thing, slanted lines. Okay. So these are the panels now that we have. So I'm going to now calculate my underbust. So the underbust is 82, I'm sorry, the abdomen. So measuring on the pattern, so I have 53 here. Half of the abdomen is going to be 48.2. So that means 4.8. That's how much we're removing from this. So we're going to start with the waist, and then we would reduce the remaining. So 16.8 is supposed to be divided along this line here, this line here, this side seam, this side seam, this line, and this line. I hope that's clear. So this is just one type of corset, but basically you however shape you want to go. If you want the side seams to be straight like this, you can decide to take it out 1, 2, 3, 4 and leave the side seam straight, but I prefer to have my side seam curved. You can take out a little there, or you can take out the side seam as just one figure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does that make sense? So instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can just have the side seam as just one place where you're going to tighten, just one place. So that's what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my waist, 16.8 divided by 5. So we have 3.4. So it means that for each here, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4. So you need to divide that into 2 and mark half of that on either side to get 3.4. So here I'll mark this and this. So for the side seam, you mark on either side of the line. Okay. So I'm going to go to the underbust area now. So we have the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 11.7 divided by 5, 2.3. So the same thing, you divide that into 2 and you mark 2.3. Okay, now the abdomen, divided by 5 as well. So let me round that up to 5. 5 divided by 5 will give us 1, or you can add 4.8, but I'm just going to round it up. So that's 0.5. Now we are going to join this together.